most of the things that are wildly successful, at some point, they've turned off listening to the marketplace, bucked the trend of what you're meant to do and push forward, and in tech, everyone's like, you've got to have a co-founder. You've got to have a co-founder. Like, I just did this by myself. And I don't think that was a breakthrough thing, but there's so many stories out there. You look at Amazon and they were so successful because they said all we cared about was listening to the customer. You look at Nvidia, which is the buzz company of 2024 at the moment, and they said they early on they made a decision as a company to not listen to the customer because the customer didn't know what they were capable of and what they could do. So two wildly successful companies that had such different philosophies on how they treat the customer's voice. So I think at some stage you've got to follow your gut and stop listening to everyone and saying, no, this is how you're meant to do. No, this is the normal process, because all you'll do is just become a normal company and you'll become the same as everything else that is out there.
Welcome to the Property Management Podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Walker, aka That Property Mum. Thank you so much for being here. Just a little life update at the time of this recording. I've just got back from a 3-week holiday in Thailand, and let me tell you, it was much needed. I was definitely on the brink of burnout and my anxiety levels were super high. For the past few months, I've been managing over 300 properties with a leasing consultant, receptionist, and VA support. And let me tell you, it's been hectic, but in a good way. I like to be busy and I liked to get back in control of what was happening inside my business. So there was obviously good and challenging aspects to being back in charge of a portfolio of that size. And let me tell you, with a portfolio that size, there isn't much room for much else in my days, apart from all the problem solving and the daily task management. So let me share with you just a couple of the things that I put in place to be able to have my holiday, even though I didn't have any team members with me. So I was actually able to get a temp property manager in, and I also outsourced a lot of my inspections, routines, as well as ingoings and outgoings. I also did work extra long hours before I left to be able to have a proper holiday without having to check in too much. And it really did work. I think I was only contacted once for a major issue, and the rest was handled by my team and temp. So I can totally recommend, if you are a solopreneur and in desperate need of a holiday, there are some options out there so that you're not stuck with working while you're having your holiday anymore. But enough about me. Let's move on to today's topic around entrepreneurship and innovation. My guest is a visionary that is changing the landscape of property management and real estate, Andrew Colagiuri. He is the CEO and founder of Flk It Over, an electronic signature platform built to streamline the real estate industry. Andrew's journey is a masterclass in identifying industry pain points and building a solution that truly solves them. As property managers and real estate business owners, we know that efficiency, technology, and client satisfaction are key to growth. Andrew has not only innovated in these areas, but has also built a thriving business by staying curious and consistently evolving his approach. In this episode, we'll dive into Andrew's story, how he went from recognizing inefficiencies in property management processes to building a platform that's transforming the way documents get signed. But beyond that, we'll also be unpacking valuable lessons for anyone in the real estate business, how to scale smart, leverage technology to streamline operations, and innovate in an industry that's ripe for disruption. So whether you're looking to grow your real estate business, improve efficiency in property management, or get inspired by a founder who turned an idea into a game-changing solution, this episode is packed with insights and valuable takeaways. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Now, before we dive in, can you share a little bit about yourself and how you got started doing what you're doing now with our audience?
Yeah, definitely. First, thanks for having me. I'm a lifelong career not property manager, real estate agent is probably the best way. I had the reverse career. I started straight out of school in a sales role, selling off the plan, and then navigated into more traditional real estate in Sydney and Darlinghurst area. And then in 2012, opened my own office. And during that time was doing sales only, ventured into property management and built a little rent roll and fell in love with every aspect of property management. I just loved it. The problem solving nature of it, the longer term relationship. Sales was very transactional where, you've got this really intense 6 week relationship that ends. But property management, you could really, if you do it right, you can add significant value to the client's not only portfolio and property, but also their experience as well. And then around 2017, 16, 17, was frustrated as the business was trying to scale and how we were mainly signing the lease renewals, my first touch point of frustration, and went on the journey of building Flk It Over, which then solves any signing need for a real estate office now, whether it be in sales, HR, operations, or property management.
So how did you transition? I'm so curious. How did you because that's obviously software tech, getting, software engineers. How did you embark on that journey? What was the sort of starting point? And maybe talk us through some of the key steps. And I'm sure there was lots of mistakes and lots of lots of brick walls along the way, as there is in any business journey. But yeah, how did that happen for you?
If we talk about the mistakes, it'll be a 2 week podcast. Yeah, look, it was just with a lot of naivety is probably the best way. It's, that thing, if you knew what you were about to embark on, would you actually start the journey? So many people say that about business and starting a business, and probably a lot of real estate office owners, depending on what the market's doing, feel the same way. Just asking lots of questions. So it was mainly going, okay, here's a problem I want to solve. Funnily enough, I was someone who was always influenced by other people's opinions heavily. And I think I rang 3 people in real estate and told them about this idea, and they all panned it and said, no, it won't work. And I just went, no, I just had this inner belief in this, that it's something that I had to do. And I was, from day one, I was so comfortable with it failing. One of my things, and I think most people are, we've got this default fear of failure. I better not do it because it may not work. For this some reason around this project, it was okay. Just from day one, if I did it and I failed publicly, I had no problem with it, which was a really strange feeling because it's one that I hadn't had before. And then I just started asking questions, and I just, I knew some people that I'd met at a conference recently that built software for people. So I approached them and said, listen, I want to have this idea. And they sort of said, listen, it's very simplistic. We're sure something's out there. We don't want to waste your money. They rang me back 7 days later and said, we've looked everywhere. We can't find anything that does what you're talking about. So let's have a further conversation. And then it was about finding someone to build it for you. And again, I knew nothing about tech, nothing about the systems and software behind it and all that. And I think anytime, even when I opened my own real estate office, I just went and met everyone in own real estate and asked them 1,000 questions. And every time you meet with someone, you may get one answer, piece to the puzzle answered. You may get 4 pieces of them. And I just went and met with every single person that I knew in real estate. And then you slowly collect all these little bits of information. You get a bit of an idea on how to move forward with what you're trying to do. But it's typically just annoyingly asking a lot of questions.
Do you think that's the key to entrepreneurship? Because I think it's a bit of a buzzword, entrepreneurship, at the moment.
Yeah.
Lots of people are talking about it. But do you think that is the key? Or do you think that's the key to anyone being successful in business?
Oh, big meaty question. I think you've got to know when to listen and when just to push forward. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and read a lot of books, and it's, most of the things that are wildly successful, at some point they've turned off listening to the marketplace, bucked the trend of what you're meant to do and push forward, and in tech, everyone's like, you've got to have a co-founder. You've got to have a co-founder. I just did this by myself. And I don't think that was a breakthrough thing, but there's so many stories out there. You look at Amazon, and they were so successful because they said all we cared about was listening to the customer. You look at Nvidia, which is the buzz company of 2024 at the moment, and they said early on they made a decision as a company to not listen to the customer because the customer didn't know what they were capable of and what they could do. So 2 wildly successful companies that had such different philosophies on how they treat the customer's voice. So I think at some stage you've got to follow your gut and stop listening to everyone and saying, no, this is how you're meant to do. No, this is the normal process, because all you'll do is just become a normal company, and you'll become the same as everything else that is out there.
Yeah. So what about, okay, well, let's stay on the topic of entrepreneurship then,
Yep.
which obviously clearly you are very entrepreneurial. So what are some of the other skill sets that you think that people need to have around not just being a business owner, because I think they're two very different things. Being a business owner and then being an entrepreneur. Business owner, I think you get to a point you're happy and you'll take your income, and you don't like to change things necessarily. I think as an entrepreneur you're always looking for change and up into the next level and trying new things and getting curious. So what do you see, or what, and maybe even just talk about your skill sets, what has made
Yeah.
you so successful with Flick It Over?
Look, Flk It Over as a product, I think we were able to be successful because I had 20 years of real estate experience. I knew the processes quite intimately. So, and people say that when they use our product, they're like, wow, we can tell this was built by a property manager, or we can tell this was built by someone who's sat in our seat. It's not someone who's run workshops and had to do, think tank sessions and get feedback and then go build. We just go, okay, this is the payment. So we find the pain point. Then we go, okay, how do we solve this pain point using technology, but doing it in a really cool way? So instead of just going, okay, this is a problem solver like this, no, what if you click this button and it automatically does that and it solves this, and like, oh, that would be a cool process to go through. So there's got to be some elevation in the customer experience. That's sort of, as a product. For me personally, I think, and as an organization, we're constantly changing and pivoting. And just like we've got I think we looked the other day about 5,600 people logging in every day. We're really connected to our users. We've got live chat. So we're chatting to them. Our live chat is our average response time's under a minute 20. So they've got a pretty loud voice. So now that we've built that community, they can guide us on, hey, this is annoying or this is our pain point. Then we can go away and do what we do and solve it and come back and solve it in a cool way.
Well, I'm actually a user of Flick It Over. I transferred over from DocuSign to Flick It Over earlier this year. And I guess when you were starting, like you said there wasn't anyone doing what you're doing, but there was some big players in terms of DocuSign, Adobe. They all had that electronic, very generic electronic signature platforms already in the marketplace. So that, excuse the term, but that takes some, I think, big balls to go out and compete against some of those multinational companies.
Yeah, look, I was just so blind when I'd started. I was just like, oh, let's give this a shot. There wasn't some big strategy or analysis going, let's take on DocuSign. And to this day, I don't see them as a competitor. I don't say that in an arrogant point of view, but it was just going, okay, real estate tenant, we're forcing them to drive to our office to sign lease renewals or emailing PDFs. At the time of starting, not many agencies were using DocuSign. Like electronic signing was sort of seen as an enterprise product, something that Domain would use to send me my annual contract, or Qantas or Telstra would use. It wasn't sort of used at your SME level at that stage. So there was never a let's go to market and take on that. It was more of a, hey, this is really annoying. I'm emailing PDFs to tenants and they're having to wait for them to print it, sign it, scan it, and send it back. Or I'm doing an open for inspection on the weekend. I'm approving the tenant on the Monday, and I've got to wait till the following Saturday till everyone's available to come back to my office to sign. So it's more of tackling that problem than going, hey, this person's doing well, let's try and build a competing product. I tackled the problem, not a competitor. And then it was more of a, let's not just send a PDF and just go, here's a PDF, sign it. Let's make them understand what they're getting into. Let's make them walk through the process. Let's understand that when an agent signs a document that they want to send one version here, they want to create an owner version, they need to update strata, and let's, with a click of a button, do all those 4 or 5 tasks for the agent automatically, schedule the renewal for them and let them know. So that was where it was going, okay, this product is more, as I said, we really focused on the problem. And at that stage, I don't think DocuSign was as embedded in as a competitor as it probably is now, as people going to use Flick It Over or to use DocuSign, and everyone's typically gone to a digital solution. When we started, we were more of an education piece than a sales piece. We were like, hey, can you do this? And I was like, is this legal? Are we allowed to? Like, it was 2017, 2018. If we tried to build this business now, I don't think we'd probably be able to. Everyone would have gone, no, we've already got something. But it was just because we got in at the right time as people were starting to look for something better. And we were the first option there for them that was industry specific.
COVID would have helped with that too, I imagine. When everybody,
Yes and no. Yeah. So COVID helped and hurt in the same, not hurt, but what had happened was COVID made the industry grow up 5, 10 years faster than it was probably willing to do. So that was fantastic. Sales did go like this. But everyone rushed for a solution. And when you rush for a solution, you rush to a legacy player. So we all went to Zoom, we all went to DocuSign, we all went to those things we knew. Now we did see a big uptick, but then it also it brought a lot of other competitors into the market going, everyone's looking for a digital signing solution. Real estate is signing heavy, and then everyone else. So probably pre-COVID, there was us and DocuSign. Post-COVID, there was us and probably 4 or 5 other options out there. So it made it more competitive, which I love. As I say to people, competition's great because the consumer wins. We've got to keep on challenging ourselves for innovation and product to be the best option out there as a signing tool for a real estate agent.
That you've just answered my next question. So you've jumped ahead of me. I was going to say, you can't just create something these days and sit back. Even as property managers, we can't just manage properties the way we were 12 months ago. We've always got to be looking for adding more value and creating, new things and streamlining things. And, communication, I think, is always going to be a really, so how do you, so what is your process? And I think, because I think a lot of property managers and business owners will be able to take away some advice here. How do you keep ahead? Because you really have to be one step ahead. Okay, this is what we think. And I mean, I guess you don't want to always guess what the client's pain points are going to be, because what you think, and I've been guilty of this. I've created lots of products and offers and things in my business, and that's in that property mum business. And then they've just landed flat. It's actually not what people needed. So what is your process for innovating and meeting your clients' needs before they even really know that they need them? If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmio.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmio is KOLMEO.
Yeah, it's been I jokingly say it's been made easy for me over the last sort of 12 months, because the state governments and legislation is creating all the headaches and pain points for agents. So we're solving those hurdles for them. So we haven't had to sort of sit there and go, what do we want to do next for them? It's like New South Wales, for example, the verification identity, huge pain point for agents. So prior to entering into an agreement, they've got to ID an owner by requesting 4 bits of information. That was the first version of it. But now they've updated to say, because of all the privacy breaches that were going on, you not only have to collect the information, you have to destruct the information so you're not breaching the Privacy Act. Now, this had to be done prior. Agents, how can you can't dictate to an owner, hey, you can only send things via email. They're getting SMSs, they're getting WhatsApp, they're getting email. All this information was flowing around. So, that's a great example of legislation pushing a pain point onto an agent. We held a webinar in June, and we got stuck on this point for half an hour. There was so much confusion out there on how do we do it? What do we need to keep? What happens if we get audited? What do we need to retain? So we went and built the ideal state of the verification identity step for the agent, where as part of signing a sales agreement or a property management agreement and Flk It Over, it walks the owner through. We need to do this for these reasons. Can you please upload these pictures of these 4 documents? They can take a photo with their phone, or they can access their computer and upload a file. The agent then reviews it. It'll only ever sit in our servers for 14 days, so you can never breach the Privacy Act. On reviewing it, they go, great, I've seen a driver's license. It ends in 267, confirm with the statement next, and it deletes that image. So we've created this one seamless flow that walks the client through the process, walks the agent through the process, and creates a digital stamp. So if fair trading ever knock on the door, you go, yeah, here's everything. It's done in Flick It Over. They don't even have to think about how to use the product. So legislation has helped us do that. But we love, I'm just trying to think of some of the things we've done recently, the pushing the envelope with, we've really evolved our signing, our PDF uploading signing tool. So it's templated, but then also we know our customer. So you can create an auction reserve template. Any document you use regularly, you can create a template in our system. That was version one of it. Then you can go, great, I want to do an auction reserve letter. It just asks you 4 questions. What's the auction date? What's the auction date? What's the address? What's the reserve price? What's the vendor bid? And then you press send. But now we've evolved it to go, okay, you want the client to answer those 2 questions. So I can send it and you can answer what's my reserve price and vendor bid. Then it will take you to the PDF and sign. Then we went one step further to make it phone responsive. So if you're on site, vendor turns up, oh, I've left the auction reserve letter, you've got your full suite of documents in your in your pocket. So yeah, agents are pretty good at letting us know what they want us to do or where they want us to focus our time or what their current pain points are. And then we go about solving it.
That's brilliant. And I guess, yeah, legislation's annoying for us. I mean, Queensland's had lots of legislation changes as
Yeah.
well. But for you guys, I guess this is where you can have an easy road for innovation. And I guess, you know, and I don't foresee that you guys will ever kind of stop that in innovating.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, you just naturally keep on doing it. And Queensland's a great example. Their recent update in legislation on the prescribed form for the residential tenancy agreement, you need to have an emergency contact name, number, and email address for every tenant. Now, in our existing property management software, we wouldn't have that. If you've got 3 tenants, you would need to collect all that information from all 3 tenants before you can actually send the lease. And we know how much tenants like to respond to emails, especially if it's a renewal. They're not there. So we built it, and the agent can choose the workflow. The agent can input that information prior to sending, or the tenant can onboard this information as part of the signing process. So it doesn't create a roadblock. So we've overcome that roadblock for the agent to go, I need all this information prior to sending it. But now we go, let's send it, and the tenant can onboard this information themselves, and I'll review it before completion. So really big tick for the tenant, big tick for the agent, creates a faster process. And again, we've done that through our managing agency agreements with all the legislation included now about when was the last rent increase, what was it, so we ask onboarding a property management agreement, we take the owner through all that workflow so we can onboard that information for the agent to help keep them compliant. It is, yeah, Queensland, it's a minefield of the things you've got to, this would be so easy to accidentally do the wrong thing because there's so many different touch points of information you need to provide now.
I know it is. It is. And I can attest to the seamlessness of Flick It Over. It is very seamless and clear. Don't have really many problems with it. Probably more the only sort of hurdles, not problems, but hurdles we have is, people doing it on their mobile phones and not remembering to click, I agree to this, or, like really making them aware of what they're signing.
Yeah.
Because the DocuSign and other platforms don't have that. So that's kind of been a bit of a learning curve for people, but which I think is great. Like you really do want people to understand what they're signing. So yeah.
Yeah, and look, I think, as you know, I'd never say anything negative about another product. I actually signed my lease the other day and I pressed get started and it went straight to page 19. And I was like, no, I was a real estate agent. So I was like, no, I want to see, did they get the pet clause right? Did they get the renting? So I had to rewind to go back up the document to page 1, 2, and 3 and make sure everything was correct. That's one of the things about our lease agreement is, it is the feedback from tenants is it's a nice, clean, transparent process. That, their tenants are usually a younger demographic. They're not well versed at reading a legal document. So to walk them through and say, this is your name. This is where you're moving to. You've got to pay rent weekly on this date, and it slowly goes through. That is a nice, clean process. We listen to the feedback. So we've just updated in New South Wales. Our property management and sales agreement, those engagement documents, are now desktop responsive. So
Mhm.
when you send it to the client, it doesn't force them to do it on their mobile phone. You may have an older client who owns an investment property. They would like to sit at a desktop computer and review the document. So we've updated that for New South Wales and South Australia. Queensland and Victoria are next for the update of that new functionality.
Beautiful. Awesome. So what's next then for Flick It Over? Any new innovations coming? Anything you want to give us a little sneak peek into?
Yeah, yeah, there's lots. We've got some great integrations coming out across sales CRMs and property management CRMs. So we want to integrate with everybody. So if anyone wants us to integrate with their software, just let us know. We're not blocking anything. We'll work with everybody that wants to work with us. At the moment, so we started with having your real estate documents in there. So you've got your termination notices, your rent increase, your breach notice, your entry notice, and all those documents are there. Then we went on a journey of creating, okay, let you upload any PDF you like and send it for signing. If that's a regular PDF, you can now create a template. So let's just use an auction reserve letter or an owner requesting change of bank details. Two great heavily used templates within our system that agents can upload their own version, choose where the information goes, and every time they want to use it, they just go, great, I want to do an auction reserve letter, send it to Mary Smith, answer any questions that needed to be answered and press send. Still requires you to go to our system to generate the sending of that document. So for a property manager, a feature we've got coming out in November is you can create the template and then you can create a QR code or a link to access that template. So what I'm hoping to achieve there is you can embed our documents in all your email templates in whatever CRM you're using, whether it's Console, Property Me, Property Tree, Vault, Agent Box. So for a property manager, let's just say it's a vacate notice, tenant pet request form, a change of bank details, come into our system, create a change of bank details template with all their information, generate the link, go into Property Me or Property Tree, create an email of change of bank details, have all your email, and you can just create the email. Hi, Mary, thanks for recently requesting. Please click on the link to process the request. The client self-serves their checkout through Flk It Over. They click on the link, it'll launch the document. What's your name, what's your email, what's your bank details? They go through and sign the PDF. So you don't even need to come to our system. You can embed our system and Flk It Over into all your current communication tools you've got. And we are just assigning in the background the signing tool you need. I think it'd be a really powerful tool to help streamline communication. More importantly, all of the communication you do to the client will come from your system, not our system.
Mm-hmm.
To most signing tools you use, once you need to send that document, it breaks the process and you send it from a third party. So, I'll get hey, you've been sent something from Adobe Sign or Hello Sign via, and it's got the agency name or the client. You click on it, you go through there. So it's an exciting one. We're looking to get out the door. I think it'll, again, elevate the experience and the depth to our product on where we can add value for an office. And like the QR code version, to give you an example of that, print a QR code and have it at an auction. And people turn up and want to register a bid, scan the QR code, and it launches the register to bid form. What's your name? What's your driver's license? Doesn't do answer all the questions. They end up signing it. You've got all these signed PDFs. So there is a lot of functionality on how this can be used. And I always say a lot of the functionality we launch, it's only limited by the imagination of the office and where they want to embed it in their systems.
Brilliant. Love it. I look forward to seeing all that coming out. Um,
Yes.
yeah, be good. Now, I love personal development. Can you share, and I believe you do too, because you just said you love reading and listening to podcasts. So can you share a tool, resource, book, podcast that you think will help our audience today?
Yeah, my education on tech, there was a great tech podcast that probably maybe not relevant to property managers, but it was How You Built This. It's by Guy Raz. It's a one out of the US, and he would interview successful tech companies or successful companies in general and talk about their journey and the amount you can learn by hearing other people. So at the start, he was getting all the big players, Airbnb, Atlassian, Uber. He was interviewing these people about their journey. Universally, I think 100% of them, the product we know of, so the product we know of Airbnb and the product we know of Instagram, that wasn't what it started out as first version. The first version was significantly different to what ended up becoming commercially successful, universally across all of the interviews I listened to. And I found a lot of inspiration that you can't have the blinkers on. You've always got to go, okay, great, we've got the idea. And it took a little bit of massaging, a little bit of pivoting, a little bit of listening, and what it ended up being was significantly different to the original idea. We're lucky in Australia. I think we've got some great voices in real estate for us to listen to. I like to listen to podcasts or read books that are very relevant to my current challenges. So that's why how I built this was about starting businesses and that journey. So that was my education at starting Flk It Over. Like, oh yeah, I'm experiencing that today, and I could get a lot of relevance from it. So when I was building a rent roll, I was trying to listen to property management podcasts or business growth podcasts or marketing podcasts to understand how to penetrate that area of my business better. So yeah, there's a lot around that is probably my advice of what are your current challenges and seek out information, books or podcasts that can help you navigate those challenges faster.
That's absolutely great advice. And I do exactly the same thing as well, always constantly. I mean, I've got a pile of books, my kid beside my bed, and my kids keep saying to me, when are you ever going to read all them, Mum? And I'm like, well, I've got them. When I need them, I'm going to go, I know which book I've got to go to next. So yeah, and that, like innovation, it's all about lifelong learning, isn't it? You never get to a point and you know everything. Heaven forbid. I'm sure there probably are people who think they know everything, but I'm not one of them, and I know you're not one of them either. So what's the best way for our audience to connect with you further and find out more about Flk It Over?
Yeah, look, they can go to our website. Flk is FLKITOVER. They can email me directly. I love just to chat to people, even if it's to chat about your current challenges as a business and you just want to talk about business and, your rent roll or your sales strategy or anything like that. My email's andrew@flkitover.com. But yeah, we love to engage with, it's very easy to do what we do because I just love the industry so much. And I don't mean to be too cheesy and cliche when I say that, but it's such running a rent roll and running a portfolio, I got a significant amount of enjoyment out of. It's a very difficult skill. It's a very good skill. It's a very hard job. And so anyone who's doing out there is just doing a brilliant job. But so it's great to keep on connecting with people, understanding what their challenges are and going, okay, I reckon I can solve that for you. And then coming back to them in 4 or 5 weeks and going, hey, how does this work? Does this help you do your job? What's the next issue you've got? But yeah, through the website or email me directly. We would love to chat to anyone who either wants to talk about using our product or just generally have a chat. We talked about personal development before. As a real estate agent, other agents were my best. It's a tough gig in sales as well. Having someone you can call when the times are tough and also when the times are good is very, very important just to build that little network of whether it's a mentor or a peer, someone that you can always lean on to chat about.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really loved having that conversation with you today, and I'm sure all of our entrepreneurial business owners out there will have plenty of takeaways from today's chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.